Our journey begins in the spring of 1625 in the quiet, rolling hills of Gascony. The morning sun was just beginning to touch the stone walls of a modest cottage. Here lived a young man with a spirit too large for a small village. D'Artagnan was only 18, but he was ready to conquer the world. His head was filled with dreams of the grand city of Paris, where the king's musketeers walked the streets like living legends. His father, a gentleman of noble heart but little gold, brought out 3 parting gifts. The first was an old horse, colored a strange, dusty yellow. This horse was 20 years old and had no hair on its tail. It was far from a knight's steed, but his father told him to treat it like a loyal servant. Next came 15 silver crowns, every bit of money the family could spare for his long journey to the capital. And the most precious of all, a letter of introduction to Monsieur de Tréville, the captain of the king's musketeers himself. "Be brave," his father said, his voice firm. "Never back down from a challenge and protect your honor as a Gascon gentleman." His mother added her own gift, a secret recipe for a healing balm, said to cure any wound that didn't reach the heart. With a heavy heart but a hopeful soul, D'Artagnan set off. He looked back at his home one last time as the road began to wind. The journey to Paris was long. The dusty road stretched before him like a ribbon of possibility through the French countryside. In every village people stopped to point and laugh at the tailless yellow horse. But D'Artagnan remembered his father's words and kept his head high. Finally he arrived in the town of Meung. He was tired and hungry, and the sight of an inn was a welcome one. He approached the Jolly Miller, an inn buzzing with travelers and locals, but his arrival was about to take an unexpected turn. On a balcony stood a mysterious gentleman. He was looking down at D'Artagnan's horse and laughing quite loudly. D'Artagnan, sensitive about his appearance, felt the sting of the insult. To him, his father's gift was being mocked. "Sir," he cried out, "stop your laughing, or you shall answer to me." He was ready to fight for his honor on the spot. Just as his father had taught him, he drew his steel. He expected a fair duel, but the man on the balcony had other plans. Instead of a sword fight, the innkeeper and his friends jumped in. They didn't care about honor. They just wanted the trouble gone. It was a chaotic scene. D'Artagnan fought bravely, but he was outnumbered 5-1. The dust rose as the struggle intensified. They beat him with sticks and shovels until poor D'Artagnan fell to the cobblestones, unconscious and defeated. While he lay there, the mysterious noble came down. He was no longer laughing. He was looking for something. He found the letter addressed to Monsieur de Tréville. He knew this letter was a threat to his own powerful masters. Without a second thought, he stole the letter. This was a terrible blow to our young hero's dreams, though he didn't know it yet. A mysterious woman in a carriage called out to the man. She was fair-haired and beautiful, but her eyes held a hidden danger. They whispered together for a moment before the carriage rattled away, disappearing into the distance. The mystery was only growing. When D'Artagnan finally woke up, his head was spinning. He reached for his pocket, searching for his father's recommendation. It was gone. His heart sank. Without that letter, he was just another boy from the provinces. His path to the Musketeers was blocked. To pay his debts at the inn, he had to sell his loyal yellow horse. It was a heartbreaking moment for the young man. He received only 3 crowns. He was now on foot, penniless, and without a friend in the world, but he wasn't giving up. With nothing but his courage and his sword, he began the long walk to Paris. He was determined to find the thief and reclaim his honor. Days later, the great city finally appeared on the horizon. Paris. It was larger and more beautiful than he ever imagined. He walked through the massive stone gates, lost in the noise and bustle of the capital. This was where his real adventure would begin. He wandered along the river Seine, watching the boats go by. The city was full of sights and sounds he had only heard of in stories. He passed through busy markets where the smell of fresh food filled the air. He felt very small in such a grand place. At last he found the home of Monsieur de Tréville. This was the headquarters of the king's Musketeers, a place of power and glory. Inside, the antechamber was buzzing like a beehive. 50 musketeers filled the room, their blue uniforms gleaming in the light. The room was alive with the sound of laughter and the clank of steel. These were the men D'Artagnan had dreamed of joining. On the stairs, men were even practicing their fencing. They moved with such speed and skill that D'Artagnan was truly amazed. One musketeer, a tall man named Porthos, was bragging about his fancy gold belt. He loved being the center of attention. Beside him was Aramis, a gentleman who said he only wanted to be a soldier for a little while before becoming a priest. D'Artagnan waited patiently for his turn. He felt very small among these legendary heroes, but his heart was still full of hope. Suddenly the doors opened. It was time. He took a deep breath and stepped into the private office of the great captain. Monsieur de Tréville was a busy man, but he looked up when he heard the Gascon accent. It reminded him of his own home. D'Artagnan told him everything, the theft in Meung, the man with the scar, and his dream of serving the king. He was perfectly honest. Tréville was skeptical at first. He had many enemies, and he had to be sure this boy wasn't a spy for the cardinal. Just then, a musketeer named Athos entered. He was wounded from a fight with the cardinal's guards, but refused to show his pain. The pain was too much, and Athos fainted. Tréville rushed to help him, showing that he cared for his men like a father. Tréville saw the spirit of a true musketeer in D'Artagnan. He might not have his letter, but he certainly had the heart. "You cannot be a musketeer yet," he explained, "but you can train at the academy. You must prove your courage first." As he was leaving, D'Artagnan looked out the window. There he was. The man who stole his letter was passing by in the street. "The thief!" he cried, rushing out of the building. He was determined to catch the man and get his letter back, no matter what. In his desperate hurry, he slammed right into Athos. The musketeer's wounded shoulder was hit, and he was not happy at all. Athos felt his honor was slighted. "Meet me at noon at the monastery," he said coldly. D'Artagnan had his first duel scheduled. Next, he ran right into Porthos. As they struggled, D'Artagnan accidentally revealed a secret about the musketeer's gold belt. Porthos was furious. "1 o'clock behind the Luxembourg," he shouted. D'Artagnan now had 2 duels to fight in one day. Finally, he saw Aramis talking with friends. He noticed a delicate lace handkerchief on the ground and picked it up to be helpful. But by revealing it, he compromised Aramis's reputation. Furious at the boy's lack of discretion, Aramis set a third duel. 2 o'clock, Aramis declared. In less than an hour, D'Artagnan had managed to schedule 3 duels with the best swordsman in France. He was sure this would be his last day in Paris, but he resolved that if he must fall, it would be at the hands of a musketeer. At noon sharp, he arrived at the monastery. There was Athos, waiting with the dignity of a king, ready to fight despite his pain. But then the seconds arrived. D'Artagnan couldn't believe it. Athos's friends were the same men he had challenged, Porthos and Aramis. They were all astonished to find that this same young boy had challenged each of them in a single morning. What a strange situation. Feeling bad for Athos's injury, D'Artagnan offered his mother's miracle healing balm. Athos was impressed by the boy's kindness, but honor required them to proceed. Just as they were about to begin, the sound of marching boots echoed through the monastery garden. Trouble had arrived. Jussac and 5 of the cardinal's guards appeared. Dueling was illegal, and they intended to arrest the group. "Surrender!" Jussac shouted. The musketeers were outnumbered 5-3. They prepared to fight for their freedom or be captured. D'Artagnan didn't hesitate. "I am with you," he cried. "I am a musketeer in my heart." He stood shoulder to shoulder with his rivals. The battle was fierce. Steel rang against steel in the quiet garden. D'Artagnan found himself facing Jussac, the most dangerous of them all. Though he was young, D'Artagnan fought with the passion of Gascony. He used every move his father had taught him in the village. With a swift and clever move, he bested the great Jussac. The boy was a natural swordsman. He had saved the day for his new friends. He saw Athos struggling against his opponent and rushed to help. Together they forced the last of the guards to surrender. Porthos and Aramis were victorious as well. The cardinal's elite guards had been defeated by 3 Musketeers and a brave young boy. They walked through Paris as heroes. The rivalry was gone, replaced by a bond that would never be broken. They were now the inseparables. But not everyone was happy. Cardinal Richelieu was in a cold rage. His best guards had been beaten by a mere boy from Gascony. King Louis the Saint, however, was delighted. He loved seeing his musketeers outshine the cardinal's men. He wanted to meet this young hero. "A boy defeated Jussac?" the king laughed. "I must see him myself." The next day the 4 friends were summoned to the Louvre. They stood before the king. Louis the Saint pretended to be stern about the fighting, but his eyes were twinkling with secret pride. "You have the heart of a lion," the king said. He gave D'Artagnan 40 gold pistoles and a promise. One day he would be a musketeer. Until then, D'Artagnan was assigned to the company of Monsieur des Essarts to begin his training. He was finally a soldier of the king. With his new gold, D'Artagnan hired a servant, a clever man named Planchet. Every hero needs a loyal friend to watch his back. He visited his new friends. Athos lived in total silence with a servant named Grimaud who only used hand signals. Athos had many secrets. Porthos loved luxury. His servant Mousqueton helped him maintain his grand image. Porthos wanted everyone to know he was fashionable. And Aramis, he was always torn between the sword and the church. His servant Bazin hoped he would one day become a priest. They were different in every way, but together they were a force that could not be stopped. A new chapter of their lives had begun. One for all, and all for one, became their sacred vow. They were no longer strangers, but a family bound by honor. D'Artagnan and his new friends were now inseparable. Together they rode through the moonlit streets of Paris, their hearts as one. They spent their days practicing the art of the sword, always ready for the next challenge that honor might bring. From the highest city walls they looked out over the vast kingdom they served, knowing that their greatest adventures were still to come. The shadows of the cardinal's palace were long, but the light of their friendship was brighter still. What an incredible start to a legendary story. D'Artagnan found more than just a job in Paris. He found a family. Remember, true strength comes from those who stand by your side. Join me next time for more classic tales, because the adventure is only just beginning.